Welcome to economics. As we know, in this model, we have outlined the importance of studying economics and how it echoes in our daily lives. As we have read already, we have microeconomics, macroeconomics, and other concepts that we have reviewed, like scarcity and supply and demand. So let's review the key concepts and summary for week one on economic principles. So, what is economics and why is this important, right? In a modern economy, we see the division of labor in which people earn income by specializing in what they produce and then use that income to produce or purchase the products that they produce, right? So, the products that they need or want. The division of labor allows individuals and firms to specialize and to produce more products for several reasons, right? The first one is it allows the agents to focus on areas of advantage due to natural factors and skill levels. B, it encourages the agents to learn and invent. And C, it allows agents to take advantage of economies of scale. So economics basically seeks to solve the problem of scarcity, which is when human wants for goods and services exceed the available supply. So, what is microeconomics and macroeconomics, right? Microeconomics and macroeconomics are two different perspectives on the economy. The macroeconomic perspective focuses on parts on the economy, like individuals, firm, and industries, right? The macroeconomic perspective looks at the economy as a whole, focusing on goals like growth and the standard of living, unemployment, and inflation. Macroeconomics has two types of policies for pursuing these goals, basically the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. On the second chapter of this week's material, we have reviewed how individuals make choices based on their budget constraints. Economists see the real world as one of scarcity. That is, a world in which people's desires exceed what is available or what is possible, right? As a result, economic behavior involves trade offs in which individuals, firms, and society must forego something that they desire to obtain things that they desire more. Individuals face the trade-off of what qualities of goods and services to consume. The budget constraint, which is the frontier of the opportunity set, illustrates the range of available choices. The relative price of the choices determines the slope of the budget constraint. Choices beyond the budget constraint are not affordable. So, opportunity cost measures cost by what we forego in exchange. Sometimes we can measure opportunity cost in money, but it is often useful to consider time as well, or to measure it in terms of the actual resources that we must forfeit, right? Most economic decisions are trade-off and are not allowed. There is not or nothing. Instead, they involve marginal analysis, which means basically they are about decisions on the margin involving a little more or a little less on what we desire and what we can get. As we have reviewed, confronting objections to the economic approach is important. Why? Because the economic way of thinking provides a useful approach to understanding human behavior. Economists make the careful distinction between positive statements, which describe the world as it is, and normative statements, which describe how the world should be. Even when economics analyzes the gains and losses from various events or policies, and thus draws normative conclusions about how the world should be. The analysis of economics is rooted in the positive analysis of how people, firms, and governments actually behave, not how they should behave. When we analyze demand, supply, and equilibrium in markets for goods and services, we should know that demand schedule is a table what shows the quantity demanded at different prices in the market. A demand curve shows the relationship between quantity demanded and the price in a given market on a graph. The law of demand states that a higher price typically leads to a lower quantity demanded. A supply schedule, though, is a table that shows the quantity supplied at different prices in the market. A supply curve shows the relationship between quantity supplied and price on a graph. The law of supply says that a higher price typically leads to a higher quantity supplied. The equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity occurs when the supply and the demand curves cross. The equilibrium occurs where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Excess demand or shortages will exist. So if the price is above the equilibrium level, then the quantity supplied will exceed the quantity demanded. Excess supply or a surplus will exist in that case. So in either case, economic pressures will push the price toward the equilibrium level. That is the final, basically, what economic does for itself is pressure the price toward the equilibrium level. When using the supply and demand framework to think about how an event will affect the equilibrium price and quantity, proceed using these 4 steps. First, sketch a supply and demand diagram to think about what the market looked like before the event. The second step is to decide whether the event will affect the supply and demand. And third, we will decide whether the effect of supply or demand is negative or positive, and draw the appropriate shifted supply or demand curve. Then you should compare the new equilibrium price and quantity to the original one. So as you see here, we will have these variables moving, right? And the equilibrium market price will occur when they cross, and that can shift to one side or another depending on the demand or the supply available in the market.